Resume recording. Okay, so I'm installing the Rails. I'm installing Rails. We'll get this started here, and then I'll take a look. Any more questions? What do we have here? All right, I got stuck here using the resources keyword. Okay, all right. So I have my server. I'm gonna go into the to-dos. I'm gonna do an ls -a, right? I'm gonna get rid of the git because I'm already in the git repo. So rm rf .get, right? I could have done the without the git, but I forgot. That was my bad. All right, so clear my screen, right? Create a new folder. All right. News Rails on that folder on your desktop called to-dos. I called it the to-dos Rails app. I didn't call it to-dos, so we'll just kind of go with that, right? I'm going to update the gem file to include Postgres, and we do what? Gem rat, right? So if I go into the to-dos app and I go to the gem file, I don't see Postgres anywhere because I didn't say use Postgres, so I could say gem rat. Is it Postgres? PostgreSQL. And it should add it. It should update. Unable to find the gem. Can I misspell this? I misspelled it. Gem rat PostgreSQL, right? Should open it. There we go. I just wanted to make sure that it would do the install. Then clear my command terminal, spin up the server, Rails S -P 4000. Started on port 4000. I don't think I have anything else listening on port 4000. Localhost 4000, and boom, got my Rails server. Everything looks legit. Sweet. This over here. Okay. Now, I wanted to create some branches. I wanted you to start working in some branches to get everyone used to using branches. I don't know if no one mentioned here about branching. I don't know if it was confusing at all, what I was asking you to do. But say I go into a new tab here, and I'm here, and I do git branch. Like there's just master branch. Okay. I did ask to commit all the changes. So that's the first thing that I asked you to do before you created them, because since you haven't committed anything, there's no master branch. Okay, so if you try to do this, you wouldn't have had anything. So I'm going to say git, who knows the command to create the branches? Just curious. Somebody else. And somebody else besides me, because I was helping those create them. Who else? All right, so git checkout would create and take me into another branch. But what's the command just to create a branch?
-B, yeah, no, -B, right?
So if I just do git branch and I do manual, and now I do git branch to check my branches, I have two branches. Manual, I'm not in manual, but I've created it. Okay, if I do what you just suggested, I do git checkout B and I do generate, this will take me directly into the generate branch. Okay, checkout B. Now I'm in the generate branch. So if I do git branch, you see that this is highlighted. I'm in that branch. Now I just wanted you to create the branches so you just have something to kind of like work with. And then I wanted you to check it out. So once again, this was just kind of a lesson in reviewing branches. I didn't cover it in the lecture, once again, because it's something we did. I'm just throwing it out there to see if you could recall it. So now I'm going to do git. I'm going to do git checkout, the manual branch, right? Git checkout manual. And if I do that, switch to the manual branch. Git branch. And I'm in manual right now. Awesome. So I'm in there. So manually update the default route to create a new get route, right? So the default route is what? So I'm in my app. I have to go to route, so I got to go to the config file. Here's my routes. So what do I do here? Who wants to walk me through? What would I type in there to manually update the default route to get a new get route that renders a plain text message? I mean, here's my routes.
Get.
Tell me where. Or do I just go to controllers? What do I do? Anyone walk me through it? Seems like a few of you got it.
Go to routes.rb.
Okay, so I'm in routes. Let me see. I was just in routes RB. Right? I'm in routes RB. What do I do?
And then you can put get and then put your route that you want.
Okay, and the route we want, manually update the default route to create a get route that renders a plain text. I didn't say what the name of the route was, but I guess we're in to-dos, right? So I might say to-dos, right? And then what?
And then comma 2.
Okay,
And then you can do to-dos hash tag index.
okay. And what does that represent? Like, if I was to say, I'm going to just leave a comment here. This is the route. That's the actual route. And what does this represent?
That's where you're getting. Oh, that's the controller.
Yeah. To-dos is going to be the controller that it looks for. Now, if we go back, so as I do this, I'll just review our controller here for books, right? So in welcome, I rendered, oh no, we have to go to routes. Router, where's my routes, right? So here, I created a welcome route, and that welcome routes took me to a welcome controller that kicked off or executed a index action, right? We got to see that if we did Rails routes, you got to see some of that information as the routes that existed. The first issue that we overcame, or the first issue we hit, was there was no welcome controller. So we got an error message, no welcome controller. I created the welcome controller. So I went to the controllers. I created a welcome controller, and I didn't put an index in there. And then I got the next error. Hey, there's no method index. Okay, I created the index method. Then I got another message like, there's no file to render. And then so we rendered something for them to see, right? That was the progress of kind of how we did that. So if I take that same methodology and I go back to to-do list, and so I'm in routes, and it's like, hey, I'd like you to render a to-dos. Sweet. So now that we have this, I'm just going to go back to the app, right? Where's my Ruby server here? And I'm going to say to-dos. I'm going to get an error message, uninitialized constant to-dos controller. I do not have a to-dos controller. So I must go to my controllers file folder and create a new file called to-dos _ controller.rb. Boom. And then in here, just like in books, if I go back to books and I take a look at my controllers here, or books controller here, I have to create a books controller that imports or inherits from the applications controller. Now this books needs to be consistent with this books, that needs to be consistent with the routes. They all need to be the same name. So I'm going to go back to my to-dos controller and do class to-dos controller inherits from application controller. I will end it. I want to create this and just test. Look, now I get a different error message. The action index could not be found for to-dos controller. Okay, well, once again, we know from the books that in the books here, just say the welcome controller has an index. I didn't include an index. Oh, so let me include an index. Go back to to-do and say, I need a method, and I'm going to say def index. Awesome. And if I end it, cool. Let's see what the message says now. Oh, to-dos controller index is missing a template for the request. Okay. Let me just go back to the instructions to see what it's asking us to do. So reconfigure the get route to use a controller with an index. You have the freedom to call the controller whatever you want. However, make sure the action is called index. All right. So we don't necessarily have the freedom to call this thing whatever we want. Create the file, create the above controller with the name you defined above. This also means creating the index. Okay, I did that. Create a view to support the controller and move the message. So create the above controller with the name you defined. This also, so I want to render something here just to render, just to say something. So I could say render plain, and we could say hello, right? Just to get a message out there. Let's see if I go back here and I render it. Look, hello. I could have rendered JSON also, right? Could have said JSON, and I could have said, you know, message, hello, and now I'm rendering JSON, right? Okay. But I could, if I got rid of this, the message clearly states, oh, why is that not updating? I think it got stuck a few times here. Index is missing a template for request formats text HTML, because I'm telling this index method by itself, do not render anything, but look for, in the views folder, look for a folder called to-dos, and in there look for a file called index.html, html.erb, and render whatever in there. Hello from the new to-dos view file.
So did you create that to-dos folder, or
Yes, I had to create that manually. The message,
okay.
yeah, the message here is saying to-dos controller index is missing a template. Right now, I got that message only after I uncommented this. Now watch, I'm going to test this out. Let's just see if this works. Oh, I think I have. Oh no, it works, right? Now watch what happens if I go here and I re-enable this render. You see the difference? Because the to-do controller is set to manually give you the thing, it does not go here to the to-dos file folder and look for the file. I'm overriding that. This overrides. So using render here overrides the need to render in to-dos index HTML ERB file. Okay, that's the difference. Without this, you need something. It's like, check here to see if we're rendering anything. If we are, cool, they know what they're doing. If we don't render here, then you have to look for to-dos and render this thing. Okay, that's what's happening. So if I get rid of this and I go back here, I should now, yeah, I don't know why it does that. Kind of gets stuck. There we go. Does that make sense? All right. Sweet. Okay, so I think that was it. Confirm everything works. Add and commit your changes to manual. All right, so cool. I'm in manual, so I'm going to git add everything, right? I'm going to do git status. Let's just see, what did I change? Look, books. So this is everything. Everything that I did in books is in there too, and everything that's in this directory. So I don't know if I want to commit everything to manual here. I have my book stuff that I was working. I should have committed that earlier. So I'm just going to do a git add whatever here. Okay, so gits, if I do a git status now, books and intro to API, that hasn't been touched yet. Okay, but the other one is. So now I'm going to do a git commit m, you know, added the to-do lab app. There we go. Okay, awesome. I'm still in the git branch, right? I'm in the manual branch right now. Cool. All right. Now I'm going to go to this update route. Comment out the previous get route. Where's the previous get route? So I go to routes. Here's the previous get routes. I'm going to comment that out. Now, as I do stuff, I'm just going to kind of test. What's the repercussion here? Oh, there's no route that matches get. Of course, because I just commented out the route. How do I get back to that route? Update the route to use the root keyword and have it point to the controller action you created and tested earlier. Okay. Add and commit the changes. So I'm going to go back to books. Just take a look and see what books has here. What did I do? The root. You know what? I think this is what happened. And I think Chrissy, you pointed out the resource keyword. The root keyword, we didn't cover the root keyword. That's what I think happened. Did anyone figure out that part there? Because no one reached out. No one had reached out.
I found it in the Rails docs.
Got it. So how do I write that? How do I do the root keyword for that?
Root
So I'm gonna,
colon 2 fat arrow, and then your welcome.
so root colon,
Oh, sorry. Root space colon 2 fat arrow, and then your whatever your route is. To dos.
okay, like this?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the pound key index.
Okay, so let's do that. I think this wasn't in the lecture. So let me take a look now. Go back here, and it's still, unless mine is broken. It works for you though? Because mine still doesn't.
Yeah, it works for me. Oh, but you know what else I had to do? So go back to your browser, because this is now going to be your root. You have to take the to-dos off.
Oh, I see. So now this becomes my default route.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Route controller action. Okay. So now I'm changing it to be the default route. So the root now becomes our default route, right? I wonder if I could have just done something like get, do something like that. Maybe even if I got rid of this. Let me see if I did that. That would have worked too. Oh, not that. This. No. So that doesn't work. Right? So I just can't go, hey, get the default route. I'm trying to like emulate what's up here. Oh no, there's a comma here. So I think that's it. Let me see. No. So it doesn't allow me to make, oh, no route matches get. So even though I get, it's not matching it. So I have to do that root keyword. Okay? I do this again. We're right back. Okay. I'm going to commit my changes to manual. Okay, so I'm here. I'm going to do git add. I'm going to do git status. I personally don't want to add everything. Did I make any changes? I did. It doesn't look like it has any changes. Here, modified config routes. Here we go. I'm going to just add that. Git add. Boom. Git commits. Commit, and I'll just put error updates. All right, sweet. Now I'm going to switch to the generate branch. Okay, so I'm going to do git checkout generate, right? Wow. Do you see how stuff just changed here? My to-do list just lost a bunch of stuff. I'm going to close all this. Don't save it. Just want to close out a bunch of this stuff. Too much stuff here. Don't save it. Don't save it. All right. Get rid of the JSON file. So what it looks like is I think I lost a huge chunk of my app. Right? I think it's just frozen. All right, here we go. No, I didn't lose it. All right. I thought I did. It almost looked like I did, right? I just lost a big chunk of my app there because of doing this checkout generate, right? If I go git checkout manual. I'm going to get back. Why do you think that is? The fact that I'm losing all this stuff when I check out generate. Any ideas?
Because it's in another branch.
Yeah, and for some reason, when I went to that other branch, I must have not committed everything that was in there. Even though here, commit your files to master branch. When I went to this manual branch, I should have had all of that info. It should have taken the whole server. I feel like I've lost half of my server now because of that, okay? Which makes it hard now to kind of do the thing because I don't have it. So what I would have to do now is do this. I would do git checkouts master. I have to merge it with my master if I want the stuff now. And I would have to do git merge manual. And look, so I just took everything I did in manual and added it to my master, and now everything is good. Now if I do git checkout, let me see, if I do git checkout, generate, I still lose it. So in the end, I'd have to delete generate and kind of regenerate it. That's what I'd have to do at this point in time. We won't do that. If I switch to it now, I could get, if I did this, git branch, delete, generate, generate checked out. Oh, because I'm in it already. So git branch master. All right. And then, oh, I have to check out, git checkout master. All right, there we go. So I'm gonna just delete the generate branch. Now I could recreate it. Git checkout b generate. Now I'm in this other branch, right? I didn't want it to have the changes, but it's too late. Confirm your previous are no longer there. They are there. There's nothing I can do. Create a new controller as before, but use the generate command. So what I'm going to do just to emulate that is to do this. I'm going to go in app. Here's my controller. Here's the to-dos controller. I'm going to delete the to-dos controller. Okay? I'm going to delete the to-dos controller. I'm going to go to the views. Here's my to-dos. I'm going to delete the to-dos also. Okay? So I'll just get rid of the to-dos file. Okay. So they're all gone. Does my routes, let me go to my route file. Where's my route file? It's in config here. Here's my routes. And here's my routes. I'm going to get rid of this too. Okay? Awesome. I'm getting rid of everything. I'm here. Let me just do Rails S port 4000. Make sure it's running. Get rid of this already. Go back here. Look, back to my Rails server. We don't have a to-dos anymore, right? New matching route. All right. So I want to spin up all those routes using the generate command, right? Now, if we wanted to generate everything, right? Let me just go off the top of my head. Generate command here. Let me just go to where the generate command is. Here we go. So this is the generate command, but I'm going to do it for to-dos. I just wanted to copy paste. Here we go. To-dos, right? Rails generate controller to-dos. Now watch what happens. It's doing stuff. Look, it created, okay? It created a, didn't really touch this. It created a to-dos controller. It created a to-dos file, but it didn't add the, I think this didn't do what we wanted to. It would have added something in there, right? So if I try to go here to to-dos, it didn't add it, everything that I thought it would add. So I'm going to just stop it. And I am going to delete these things again. I want to see if I run it again. Maybe there's just a fluke. To-dos controller. To-dos file here, right? I have my routes. I don't have any to-dos. It should have generated everything for me. The layouts, the routes, should have put everything in there. I'm surprised it didn't. So I'm going to try this one more time. To-dos and see, because it's telling me here, it's just creating the views to do, but it's not creating the file. Last time it did create the file. So I'm really surprised it didn't create the file here. Here's our views, and it's not even putting it in there. Oh, you know why? I'm in books. I'm in the wrong folder altogether. Here we go. Let me try doing it here. All right. To-dos controller. To-dos. Yeah, it's not doing it. Did that create, when you ran this command, did it create the files too? Because it did earlier for us.
It
No.
didn't for me.
It didn't. Okay. Yeah, it did earlier when we tested this out. It did create all of those files for us. So I'm surprised that it didn't create it for us now. But now that we're here, and I'm in this to-dos, right? So if I don't have a route here, so if I go to my routes, I don't have a route pointing to to-dos, so I would need to enable that at this point in time. I do have a to-dos controller. Here's my to-dos controller. My controller does not have an index, so that would be a problem. Okay. If I try to call this now, it doesn't have a template. So either I'm back to either rendering plain, hello, or I have to go to the views, create, here's the to-dos, I create a new file called index.html.erb, and then I just put a message in here, hello from ERB. And it should, and save it. I don't think it's updating. There's my to-dos controller. Yeah, this is, there we go. I'm not sure why it took so long. And then we have hello from the ERB, okay? I think that was it, right? Add and commit your changes to the generate branch. So I'll do git status here. This is all the stuff from the generate, right? Everything that I'm located. So I'm going to git, add everything that's here. Git status. Okay, cool. Not committing this just yet. Git commits updates. Boop. There we go. Git status. It's all good, right? This is the stuff from the other stuff. Okay.
What changes did you make to the roots file?
The routes file right here. I added a route here. Now, the other thing that was asked to add here was I don't think it was the root. What I think we wanted, well, yeah, using the resources keyword to add all the routes. So what was that resources keyword? The resources keyword was this. If we went to routes, I could get rid of this. And if we added resources to-dos, this should have added all the routes. So I'm going to test this out. To-dos, to-dos. I'm going to do it a few times because we know that this kind of breaks it every once in a while. And by adding this, if I go and take a look at, I'm in here, and if I do Rails routes, take a look at all the routes. If I go to the very top, look at all the routes that exist now. See all these routes? If I remove and replace it with the previous one, okay, I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm going to do this one more time. I only have, I don't see the route here. I have delete, delete, delete. Just going to make sure. Oh, no matching route get to-dos. I think there's maybe some sort of delay here because we know that there's a route. Here we go. Now I'm going to do Rails routes. I didn't see it, but I knew it was there. I think the server is just updating. Here's the to-do route. You see this? A single route. Because I manually created a single route, I only get a single route. But if I was to do this, so I'm just going to take this, right? We have this route, and let me put in the Slack channel here. All right, that was the only route that was there. But if I change that to be resources, this resources keyword says I want to generate all of the routes for to-dos. So I'm going to create a / to-dos, and every route is going to exist for that. Now if I run Rails routes, now I have all of these to-dos routes, right? All of these exist. I went from one manual route to all of those routes, okay? I just slacked all the routes out. That's what the resources keyword does. It adds the additional routes so that you don't have to create them, okay? You know, what you're seeing is some of the magic of like using the generate and some of these like magic keywords that are just like, wow, I just use resources and I don't ever have to create a route. Like, that's crazy cool. Or I just tell it the route name and it creates all of these things. Well, that's insane. Like, I love that, right? That's the magic of Rails. It's doing all of this stuff under the hood. And you just really have to be concerned with like making sure you set it up so that you can send and receive data or templates, however it is you want to render the information to the end user, okay? Sweet. How do we feel so far? Feeling,
So,
Yeah.
quick question. For some reason, when I was in manual or generate, the controller is not reading my views. If I put, like for it to this in my index method, if I say to render a phrase or something, it will render it. But when I take it out and I just use the views, it's not displaying anything.
Okay, so what's very specific with the views, and I'd have to take a look at it, Tiffany, but in views, I have to create a folder that matches the name of the controller. So this to-dos naming convention here must be a folder name in views.
I have that.
And then in views, we have to have an index HTML ERB file.
Yes, I have that too.
Oh, okay. Then how about this? Just take a minute, because we only have, it's 119 anyway, so starting a new topic wouldn't be the best. Why don't you share so I can take a look and see what you have? Maybe we can work through one issue before we go to lunch. Share your screen, show me, and let's take a look and see if we can figure out the error.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay.
So I have the to-do controller here.
You
I
have
have to-do view folder with the index in here.
got it. Okay.
But when I try to load,
Just takes, it looks like you just went right back to your default route. Try again.
yep, it just goes right back.
Oh, that's just weird. It's like, it's not, it should error out and say like, it didn't hit the route. I'm surprised it's like, it's almost like there's some sort of redirect configured somewhere, right? Try typing in another route, any other name. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like anything. If it takes you back, it's like, all right, so they were triggering something. Hey, no route matches welcome. So I'm walking through the testing process, right? I don't know why it would do that, but if I type in welcome, it doesn't find a welcome route. Try doing the to-dos again. If it takes us back, and now it just takes us to welcome. It's kind of strange that that would happen. It's not even leaving the welcome route. It's like always staying in that same route. What if you do to-dos, just misspell to-dos and put 2 S's? I'm just curious. I want to see if it's something to do with the keyword to-dos, you know? All right, now we're getting no to-dos. Now get rid of 1 S and let's just see if it just takes us back to that, that's some weird stuff. So go back to the routes file. I'm curious. I almost think this has to be in the routes. Like this route here. Can you expand it so I can see the thing? Yeah, all right, that looks good though, right? Get to-dos, go to to-dos index. Oh, you have 2 routes there. So remember when if we were to roll back the video, you would actually see this. When I had done the generate command, it put line 2 in there for me. See line 2?
Yes.
It put that in there. So get rid of line 2 and leave line 5. Oh, no. Don't get rid of everything. Just comment out line 2. All right, now test it out. Let's see if this works. It's still going back, huh? That's kind of weird that it doesn't ever even change. Now you go back to welcome. It's like stuck. All right, to do, and then put an S on the end. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to say let's stop your server and restart your server.
What? It was still showing just to do, even though she typed in to dos.
Oh, it was this time. Okay, I quickly.
In the HTML.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not in the HT. Yeah. In the,
Oh yeah. So no route matches to do. Yeah. All right. You stop your server, restart your server, and let's take a look. Because the route is called to dos. Yeah. So it doesn't look like it's updating, but it's a little weird because we have a route to dos, we have a controller to do. So I can't understand why it would keep doing that. Yeah, it's like it almost just redirects back to. Yeah, I got to be honest. I'm not really sure.
This has been driving me insane.
Yeah, that's to me. Go back to the routes file. Maybe we'll just get rid of line 5 and enable line 2. Let's try that. Let's try another one. Right, get to-dos index. Let's see if that works. I don't know what's happening. You have a route. All right, so now it can't find the route to-dos, even though we know there's a route in there. Yeah, I find it really odd that that's happening. We're trying to get to-dos / go to index, but it can't find, it's for some reason, it's just not finding this to-dos route. And I don't know why that would happen. Get rid of, I'm almost thinking like, get rid of the comments. Yeah, re-enable line 5 and get rid of line 2 again. And we'll just do it one more time. Get rid of line, yeah, get rid of all that stuff. I don't know why, I gotta be honest. But we need that line 5 we still need. That gets, yeah, keep that, get rid of everything else. Go all the way to, get rid of all, get rid of that one too. Like, that's something we don't have in the books. And re-enable that. Now let's just see, because once again, I don't, from what it looks like, it looks legit. Get to-dos, works. Yeah, that's just weird.
Hey, this is a dumb question, but did you refresh your browser?
Yeah, just refreshing it. I mean, what you could do, testing purposes, is this. You could open up a Chrome. You could open up another tab in what's the mode? We got incognito mode. Maybe that would clear out any previous cache that was done. Open in incognito mode, type in that URL. I think it's 4,000, right? 4,000 to-dos. No, and then it just goes. Like it disappears. Try just 4,000 and see you hit the server now, do to-dos. If it goes back, then there's some other thing, wacky thing going on. And I don't really know what it's started get to-dos for process controllers index. It looks like it is trying to get it. I'm looking at the terminal and it's like started get to-dos for processing to-dos controller indexes HTML completed 204 no content. So go to your to-dos controller. I think it has to do with the to-dos controller. Try to render something specifically from here, like render something in there, like render space plain colon, yeah, and then just something. Maybe that's, I don't know why, but the message looks like it's completed 204, no content.
This will actually work.
Let's see. Wonder if that'll work. Yeah. Yeah, so that works. It's just the template. I don't know why the template's not working. I mean, we're not going to use it going forward. This is just a test to see, but I'm finding it really odd that when that's not there, the to-dos folder, like I almost would delete the to-dos folder and recreate the to-dos folder because I can't really see what's happening. Like I can't tell.
I've actually gone back and I took out everything. I recreated the entire
Yeah.
master folder and it still is giving me this issue. I removed the to-dos controller, the view. I'm just getting the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to be honest. I'm a little puzzled myself. Why this? I'd have to research it to see because I don't know why it doesn't see the view. The minute we remove the render and we kind of tell it to go to the views, it just breaks. Like it just re-renders the same thing. So I don't know. Yeah, you can try it. Yeah, if it doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know because it's trying to get. You can see the error message: completed 204, no content. It says no content in like active record. Like I don't know why it would try to go there.
So in the beginning, I was getting an error message where it did not create the DB. I had to actually go into the, Brendan helped me, we went into the bash terminal, we actually created the DB.
Oh, so for this, I don't even believe we needed the database because we're not really doing anything with the database. So maybe that's it.
Well,
Maybe.
It wouldn't even let me proceed if I didn't create that DB. The error message on the page will say the DB did not exist or something like that.
Oh, that's really weird because what we're doing right now, I have not spun up any databases for any of this.
Yep. But
The fact that you spun up a database is telling me like it's looking for some data and it's not going to. So there's some disconnect there. So I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good to know, but I didn't know that even that was being done behind the scenes. So I think that's what's happening. It's like looking for some active records is like the Mongo or Mongoose tool for Rails.
Mm-hmm.
So that what it looks like is it's trying to render something and it's not going to the thing. It's trying to do maybe an API server or something like that. You didn't set it up as an API server either, right?
No.
Okay. If you set it up if you ran that API command, that may also have done something too, might have spun up.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Sweet. Let's break for lunch, 1:30. Come back at 2:30, and we'll finish up with this lab, and we'll jump into the other one. Okay. Lunchtime. 2:30. Yeah, posted right here. I am sharing my screen so I know everyone sees me. Everyone can hear me. So recently I counted Angular. Okay. Chrissy, for the jobs that you were looking at online, like how many said Angular? Like
I had a phone interview recently, and they're using Angular on their website.
Okay, awesome. That's cool. You got a phone interview. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did they ask any additional questions? Anything that maybe you could share with the class?
It wasn't really a tech style interview. It was with the CEO. So if I do move forward, I will later have to speak to their tech department, like have a whiteboarding style interview. But this was more like what we're doing and, you know, what I've been doing, sort of initial stuff.
Got it. Okay, what was the position for?
Front-end developer.
Front-end developer. Okay.
Startup company.
At a startup. Okay. Looks like May's solid experience in Java, Scala, Python, Go, Ruby, C++, Node. Oh, wow. That couldn't have been just one company. That was one company? Wow.
Yeah, it was for a position at a Toyota Connect.
Got it. That's a lot. Java, Python, Ruby, Go. There's just no way you're doing all that stuff in one sitting. There's no way that you could possibly do that. Yeah, I just suggest, now that you're getting close to the, you know, the finish line, is just go online and maybe go to like Indeed, and just look for a front-end developer, like, or back-end or web developer. Like, I always tend to go for the front-end web developer role. That's just what I would go for personally. And then see, obviously, I'm located in New York City, and the demands in New York City might be different than the demands elsewhere. That's why it's hard for the remote to cover the base for everything. So if I just went junior front-end developer, see what they got for junior front-end developer, 2 years programming experience. Oh, there we go. Answer that. 2 years of design, media monetization, I don't know, experience with obviously HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, jQuery, Git. You've been learning all about React. You don't mix React and jQuery together. Node and Ruby on Rails. I find that really puzzling that they would have full stack with both of these platforms. Can't really believe that they would be doing that, but maybe Amazon Web Services. Okay. Yeah. So looking at some of these jobs might give you an idea of what you should be focusing in on now that you're learning. Just seeing if this one has anything. This looks pretty cheesy. It doesn't have anything. Regarding what technologies you should be pursuing. Now that you've learned quite a few of technologies, what of those technologies should you decide to kind of focus in on? And so I go to here and I'm like, all right, 3+, deep understanding, blah, blah, blah. Front-end frameworks, React, Angular, and TypeScript. I find it hard to believe they're going to be doing all three of those. Okay, I think Angular and TypeScript kind of go hand in hand. But React and TypeScript, I don't believe so, and you wouldn't be probably using both of those. Object-oriented, yes. That's really it. Like, I don't really get many other technologies out of that. Try to come up with a collection of the technologies that pop out or stand out or being referenced more and more. So if 8 of 10 of them say React, or 8 of 10 of them say Angular, then that's what you decide to study or pursue. There's a lot of what. The advice I'm trying to run with here also is that when you graduate, don't say, I'm going to go and try to study Ruby again because I'm weak in Ruby. Now I want to be ready for everything. You can't be ready for everything. And if Ruby is not one of those 8 out of the 10 technologies, right, then you're not going to master Ruby just to say you mastered it because somebody taught it to you. Don't learn it if it doesn't get you the job. That's kind of the approach. Only learn the things that are going to nail you the position.
I did want to say one thing.
Sure,
As
yeah.
a matter of fact, I have been looking at a few items myself, and I wanted to interject this thought earlier.
Sure.
There is a website that I have no problem sharing with the class. It has both full stack and remote, so everybody can take a look at it, and it actually looks like a great source to look at probably some entry level.
Sure.
And it's pretty dope. I'll actually put it on the
Yeah, put in the yeah. I see Quincy, like, not really a technology, but I see building and automated testing plans. Okay, there's things like Mocha and Jest and Chai. They're all testing suites for testing software. That's also a niche that you could get into as well. So yeah, lots of stuff. Learning a lot to do. Which direction do you choose is really the question. Yeah, go back, take some of your previous projects and like revamp the ones that you really want to stand out, not the other ones. Fox Media. Okay, cool. Thanks, Rob. All right, so we're going to move on to continue with controllers. Just a little bit more with this lecture, a small lab, and then we're going to jump into the other one where we build more stuff and we bring in the back end too. I wanted to focus on just controllers so we get an idea of how that's working. So you do, it's not some magic that's happening. So far, right, so LS, I'm going to Rails S, I don't know, I'll go back to port 4000. Why not? Make sure, oh, I think port 4000 is being used. That's probably what it is, right? Trace back, I'm gonna guess either I have one of these, maybe this one's on port 4000 too. Let me stop this one and go back to this one. Nope, port, am I not doing it right? Rails.port 4000, actually, this is where, oh, I'll just change it to 4001. I don't know what's happening. I break it? It's my Books app. Here, I'm going to close out. I just want to see no value provided for option port. Oh, I'm just going to make sure I got that right. Right? Could have sworn that's the command. So let me just do Rails S and let's just see if it starts. All right. There we go. I'll just go to 3000. Books, boom, welcome. Books, right? Should. Now this particular books one is configured to use ERB, right? That's where I kind of left off. I'm using ERB now to connect that kind of front-end request to a template, okay? And what's happening there is an app, because that's where our model view controllers are. It's this view here that's being rendered, right? This is the view that we're seeing here. My first ERB file, and that's it. But that's also being directed from the controller. And the controller is saying, hey, look for a books view and render index. And index isn't rendering anything, so it's going to go look for the view, do the view. Okay? If we go to our routes, start all the way in our config here. Always go too far. There you go. Routes, books. That's where we had left off too, with the routes, with the resources, I think, right? I left off with this. And that resources creates all of the routes for us. Really don't really have to do much. I just still got the welcome one, but now I have all these other routes. Okay? So let's take a look. So if I hit, and I did, I hit books and I get that, right? I get, hey, I'm hitting a book route, easy enough. But what if I wanted to hit books and get back a specific book? What if I said book, I don't know, Moby Moby Dick, right? Something like that. Well, the action show could not be found. Interesting, action show. Okay, if I go back here to books and I do Rails routes, right? I'm gonna do Rails routes. I'm gonna get quite a few routes here. So I'm gonna just expand this up. Here's my Rails routes. Now I have quite a few routes now because I have my welcome routes, right? That's that route. And then I have all these books routes. And the books allow me to send or are listening for requests for parameters, right? I can see right here. Here's a request for a parameter. Welcome here. And I'm looking for the show. Show. Books, show. See that? And so it's looking for the method. Remember, books, this books is the controller. This is the method. Okay? Controller, method. Welcome controller, index method. Okay? I go back to the controller, to the welcome controller, I have the index method. Because there is no render here, that means there is a welcome view being rendered, okay? Just so that we're all on the same page. Now, I would like to, if I go to the server, it's telling me it doesn't have that. Well, okay, well, I want that. I want to be able to send something, even if it's not Moby Dick. Maybe if it's not Moby Dick, I want to send something even like just the idea of the thing, right? Most of the time, it's probably going to be just, 2. I want to see the second thing. I'm not even seeing anything here, okay? But it's still saying the action show could not be found in the books controller. And that's what we have to fix, okay? So when I'm going to go back to my route, right? In config, here is my routes and books. Okay. Now, in books, we can say what we want to see, all right? So in order for us to set this up and hit and use the params objects, we're only really concerned, so for this particular lecture right now, we're only really concerned about books and maybe another books endpoint for the name or the ID, okay? And because we are only really concerned with that, we can, in the route itself, say only concern ourselves with, actually here, before I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and create the show and then we'll go back and I'll force that through. I'm gonna go to the books controller. Do I have books controller? And watch if I do def show. Okay, so I'm creating the corresponding method that would be called if we were to execute this, right? So now it's saying the action show could not be found, right? That's what this message is saying. Boom, select it. That's what's being shown. Now, I'm gonna refresh it. The books controller show is missing a template. Okay, what does that mean? How would I send something back right now? What would be the easiest way to send something back? Who wants to help me out?
Render something in that method?
Yeah, so render, even if I just render plain, I could say plain or JSON, right? I'm gonna just keep going with JSON now. Message, okay, right? Boom, I get something. In the end, that's what we're setting ourselves up for, not to use the views, but I want you to really understand what's happening with the views, but I just want to send JSON. So if that's the case, this now works, right? I can send this. Now I'm going to go back to the route. We can configure this books resource to be very specific about what routes it shows by using the only keyword and then telling it what routes it should show or have access to. Okay, so resources books, right? That means all the books, but only this particular route. So I'm going to go back here. I'm getting an error message, no matching route for books gets, for get books to, but it was just working, right? So the difference between this and that, just comment this out, was the fact that I forced it to only listen on certain routes and expose only certain methods. So if we want to show additional methods, I have to include them here. So by saying this, I'm saying go to resources, open up all of the routes, but only expose these methods. And now if we do this, it should still work, right? Okay, it doesn't matter what we do in 3 here, it doesn't really matter. But the next thing that we want to do is capture the parameter that's being sent to us, okay? Now, this route is what decides what methods to call, and we know that inside of the books controller are the 2 methods, and right now we're just rendering JSON. It's okay, right? Well, what if I wanted to send back the ID of the thing, or this parameter here that was sent, the number 3, right? So just like Node and Express, it's params. You know, just like React, right? We used React Router, and React Router also had params as a key that stored values too. So this idea of using the params keyword, this keyword right here, is a common semantic word that's used in routing when you're sending information. So if I go here and I want to send that over, I'm just curious if I could just go here and say, I don't know, params, bracket ID. Let's see if I can just send back the ID of the thing. So this is 3. Look, 3. So I could extend this message and say like, all right, maybe I'll say message, okay, and book ID params :ID, right? All we have to do is put :ID. How does it know to use :ID though? Does anyone know? When I'm putting something in here and I'm telling it that whatever gets sent will be a params object, and to pull it out of the params object using the params ID. Now watch. What if I just send params, the whole object? I wonder what we would say. Look, it stores it as an object. The controller is books, the action is show, and the ID is 3, right? Now, maybe I'll just say here params, so we can just see that that's params, and then I'll say book ID params, right? How does it know to pull out the ID or to create this with an ID? Does anyone know? Have an idea? Okay. So I'm going to go back to the routes. Let me see, is it this one? This one right here. I'm going to clear my screen, Rails routes, and from here, where do we see that? Anyone tell me where they see it? Start your way down this path. Welcome index. Nope. Welcome some format. Nope. Books format. Nope. Books ID. Remember in Express, when you were creating these routes, you would have to do something like, I don't know, books /:ID. Remember that? And then you had the ID that was sent in, and then that in the world of Express was then stored in rec.params, and params was an object, and it would take ID and whatever number or thing that you pushed in. Like that was the process. You sent a URL, it got referenced as that, it stored it in the params, you grabbed it from the params, and then you went to the database, grabbed the thing that you wanted, and then resent it. That's what's happening here. And it's getting that from here. When we did the route, so if I go back to the route, this route of doing resources books is telling it to do the index and the show, and for the show and the index, it's like, here's an ID. use the ID of the thing. Okay? And that's what we can do. Use the ID of the thing, right? And we have all these additional routes too that get created. Cool. So we can send that over now that I have the ID. So if I go back to books, go back to the controller books, I have access to all this information. I can render this if I want, right? Now, what if I get rid of this? It'll error out, right? If I do this again, it'll error out. And it's, oh, I think this is throwing it off too now. Let me see. Yeah. Is that it? Surprised this is still there. Unless I'm missing an end. Oh, here we go. I'm missing this end. That's why. Okay. Still no show. I'd have to go here and go into views right here and create what? A show. Right? If I wanted to. We're not going to be doing this kind of going forward, but I would have to do a show folder, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. I wouldn't want to do a new folder. Oh, no, not a new folder. Sorry about that. I was right with the first one. A new file called show.index, show.html.erb, right? And it's in here that I could say in H1, the show route. Okay. Now, if I hit this, it should, yeah, the show route. Awesome. Okay. Now that I have the show route, I could, if we wanted to, pass something to that, that template. This is kind of the world of ERB. Once again, we're not doing this. I just wanted to expose you to this. If I go to books here, and instead of doing this render, that JSON, if I was to say @book is equal to params bracket ID, what is this? Does anybody remember what the @ sign represents for a variable inside of a class?
This.
The @ sign was, actually no, the keyword for this is self,
Oh.
right? I think last time we would do self.show and then I could call bookscontroller.show and it would actually show me this method. This was an instance variable, okay? So the @ sign is an instance variable, you know, icon or something, right? Anything after that becomes an instance variable. And they're called IVARs, instance variables inside of a class. So I'm creating this instance variable. And I'm going to go to my view, my show view, and say this is the show route, and you would like to see the book at ID, and then I am going to include, well, we always would have hated, I always hated to do this in EJS, the squiggly @book, squiggly, bloom, okay? So I'm just putting out some text, and I'm including this. Now this should render the book ID. Should. Let's hope it does. There you go, book at ID 3. If I change this to 4, 4, whatever it is, okay? What we're doing here is we're taking data, and we're passing it to a view, and the view is going to render whatever information we sent. If we sent it an array of books, then we would loop over the array in the ERB template and render individual books. It just gets really, really tedious to use ERB because every little thing that's running Ruby inside of the HTML file needs to be surrounded in these symbols. Everything needs to begin and end with these symbols, and it just becomes so tedious. This is why React is kind of like where we want to go with this stuff, because React just pretty much allows us to like use a map over, spit out LIs, and then we can just curly braces, call that thing, and it shows us everything. Much easier to use, okay? So all we really did here, just to kind of recap what we did, was I went into the books route. So I started off with the books route. And I'm changing it so that I only show the index and the show route. That's really all I want to see. Okay. I then went to the books controller and added a show method. Without it, we're going to get an error. With it, without a template, we get an error. And then we just kind of initially rendered some data, so we would see that it worked. I removed this. Then I saw that I got an error. I had to go create the show HTML ERB file, so it would know to render that by default. And then lastly, I just passed it some information. And passing it this information, I could then utilize it here. Okay? Whatever that information is, it doesn't matter. We can just reference it now using this global instance variable, and we can render whatever data. So we could pass an array of things, we could loop over the things. Really, that's pretty much it. Right? There's a lot less to cover in the second half of this kind of lecture. And the lab itself is also much shorter. So let me Slack out the lab. Harvard Classroom, boop. Okay. Now the one thing I did remove for the lab, I removed it on my side, but I forgot you had already pulled it, was I removed the need to like merge master and the branches. We don't really have to do that. As long as you have a branch that's rendering the books, the fact that you have a to-dos resources file, like here in routes, you have the resources, right? I'm going to go to the to-dos app and just make sure, because this is where I had left off with it. I go to config and I go to routes. I have routes to-dos. This is kind of where we left off. And I knew that this was working. I think Tiffany's the only one that was kind of having problems with that. I don't know if you resolved it, Tiffany, but maybe I can help.
No.
Yeah.
Still no.
I'm almost at the point when something like that happens, the fact that we didn't really do a whole lot, I might even just say like blow it out and you rebuild the whole thing. But you can do the same thing if you want to just test this out. You can go into books and create a different route or add a to-dos here and just go through the process of following those steps. We can have as many routes as we want.
Yeah, I did that over lunch. Still didn't work, but I tested in books, and for some reason, books seems to.
Yeah, that's still mind-blowing that's what's happening. Okay, this is not going to take too long, the lab anyway, so you can work in books and kind of work through this. Outside of that, you're just going to use the resources keyword to point to to-dos and do the show and index route. All right, create in the controller, update it to include the show method, right? That's what we did here, the show method. Okay, it should render the params back on the page. That's what I had done with this, just to send it, and then test out the new controller to confirm that it's working. All right, update the controller to store the params in an instance variable, which is what I did here. Okay, and then comment out the previous render statement, which is what I did here. Okay, test that the view works, and then test that the view doesn't exist, right? You're going to get an error. And then create the show view and then render that thing in an H1 or whatever. Okay? I don't think that that's going to take too long, but let's take a look. Chrissy, how long do you think that would take?
Minutes?
How much?
Maybe 30 minutes?
30 minutes? Okay. Dustin, what do you think?
Yeah, 30 sounds good.
30 does sound good. All right. So I will give you 30 minutes. It's 3 o'clock. Yeah, I can use some help. Oh, yeah. Okay, Mace, I'll jump in and help you out. Yeah, so let's give 30 minutes. I'm going to put here, click on thumbs up when you're done. Thumbs up. Done. Okay. with that. If you get done, I slacked out the previous Ruby algos. So if you do get finished, just kind of bang out some of those algos. And let's kind of go back at 3:30. I'll put everyone into breakout rooms right now. Just quickly do that, and then we'll do our thing. Breakout rooms. I open up all the breakout rooms. Here we go. Open all breakout rooms. Breakout rooms are open. I'm assigning, boom. Boom. All right. Everyone's got a breakout room. Hey, Mace.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good. All right. What can we do to get you caught up here?
Okay, so I mean, I feel like I'm really lost today.
Okay.
But you know, just from the first part of the lab, I was never able to get the view to show up, right? Like the render plane
Got it.
was
Okay.
coming up just fine, but even when I removed it, it's still coming up.
All right. So you're saying, so you're saying when you remove even what's inside of that, it's still coming up?
Yeah, so like there's nothing in here.
Got it. Okay.
I created in the views, I created a to-dos folder and an index.html.erb.
Okay.
And in here, I misspelled welcome with,
Okay.
welcome to-dos. I'll just do ERB. I mean, it should be an H1 anyway, so it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be this small.
Okay.
All right. So, oops. All right. So I got that.
Got it. All right. Let's.
This is the controller.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Route.
Test it out. Let's see. Got it.
It's still doing just what was in.
Yeah. No, I see. Let me see here for routes. All right. Go back to you're in the routes right there, right? Okay.
Yes, this is routes.
So comment out line 3. Let's just get rid of line 3 and let's try setting up. Comment that out. All right. Now between line 3 and 4, we're going to add a new line. And I want you to put resources, space, colon, to-dos. And the route we want to hit is to-dos. Now go ahead. Save that. Go back. Let's see if that works. And instead of to-do, do to-dos. All right. So no route matches get to-dos. Interesting, because we know that we have.
I think I have get to do. Oh wait, I originally had get to do.
Yeah, you had get to do, but I'm curious because to-dos is really what we should be doing, right?
Yeah.
The to-dos route. So routes match in priority from okay. I can't really get to-dos route to-dos. All right. So you spelled resources wrong.
Oh shit.
There you go. Save that. Try that. Before we start troubleshooting something else.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
We got welcome to to-dos app. All right. So go to the controller now. And nothing is here. So that means it must be going to the default view. Go to the view. There you go. And that's where it's coming from, right?
No. See, this is welcome to to-dos ERB, but what's rendering is welcome to to-dos app.
I almost feel like these are two different things because I can't imagine like where this other text is coming from when you know stop the server.
Okay. what is Control C or Command C?
Yeah, where is the server? Server was running, you exited it, right? All right, so if you exited the server and you start, if you refresh that page, that starts the server, right? Oh yeah, so run
It's
Rails.
already running.
Yeah, so I think that that's someplace else. Like, where is is that in there? Go to the other tab. Go to that one. Yeah, stop the server there. I'm assuming this is the one. Yeah, command, yeah. So now go back to the website and try to refresh the page.
It shouldn't work, right?
It should not work. Cool. All right. I'm just trying to figure out what's happening. But it works.
Local force, the 4,000 is still up.
But that means we're not editing the same files we're not editing the server. This should not have come up if you stopped the server.
Yeah.
You know, so I think what you're doing is we're editing something else. So let me see, Rails, Ruby. What I want you to do is let's go into Activity Monitor. Hit the Command tab bar, and it's going to open up a Spotlight.
What?
Yeah, Command tab will open up Spotlight. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. So it's just like popping up like.
Yeah. Type in ACT and it should fill in Activity Monitor and go to Activity Monitor.
AC.
Oh, no. I think I see what you're saying. Here, I'm going to share my screen because I think there's
Okay.
disconnect. Where is missing? Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. All right. See my screen?
Yeah.
I'm hitting the Command key and the tab. I'm sorry, and the space bar. You see what popped up?
Yeah.
Go to excuse me. Go to Activity Monitor. So I just typed in ACT and it
Okay.
just hit enter. Here's Activity Monitor, right? I'm going to type in CPU in the search bar. I'm going to type in Ruby. And I'm going to terminate those Ruby processes.
I don't have any.
You don't have any Ruby?
No.
That's odd. Right, because there's no Rails. It's all Ruby. Yeah, I would think it has to be. Yeah, but you have the CPU chosen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm going to go here. My server works. I'm going to terminate these processes. Watch. Force quit. All right. I'm going to see. Does it work? Still works. Force quit. Okay. Force quit. You see how my server stopped?
Yeah.
There's no way that you can be refreshing that page and seeing what I just saw. I'm going to stop sharing. Share yours again.
Okay. It's not pulling up anymore.
Oh,
I think it was just delayed. But yeah, there's nothing running.
sweet. All right. So,
It died.
yeah. So share your screen again and then we'll walk you through what's going on. All right. So it died. So now I know the server's done, right? Now I want you to go back to that folder that you think contains that app and start the server again. This is kind of weird. This is almost like what was happening with
Yeah. With Tiffany.
yeah.
Okay, so we're in to-dos, right? And then we do Rails S. Start the server back up. Okay. Oh, it's on
3,000 now, right? Because you didn't give it a port. So go to 3,000.
okay.
Doesn't matter. Go to 3,000.
Okay.
All right.
Let's try to-dos.
All right, it's trying. If you go to the terminal, you'll see out.
There we go.
Use ERB. So yeah, I think it was just some wacky, not on the right server, on a different server. I'm not sure.
It's probably I had started the server,
Yeah.
changed some stuff up, and then started a new server. Or
Yeah, I think you did that. I think maybe you had another server up and running. It was just
Yeah.
never going to change at all ever.
God.
That's actually a good point. I should like walk everyone through like, oh, you didn't terminate the server. Now you have two servers listening, and like, even though it's on a different port, they're still paying attention to the same files, but now you're changing files. Like,
I think that's the issue Tiffany was having.
got it. Okay.
Now that I think about it, about her
Could be, yeah.
situation and mine.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what else? What else can we work with?
Okay, so all right, we confirm everything works, and then I got stuck there, so I haven't really looked at what else we need to do here. So an update route, comment out the previous route, update the route.
Yeah, forget about using the root keyword. We're not really concerned with that.
Okay.
The jump to part 5. Yeah.
Okay, so now just to do the generate branch instead
Yeah.
of doing it the manual way.
And you don't even have to do the generate. You could like, we could just stay in here in that branch. You don't have to change branches, really.
Okay, but
I'm
we
just-
still want to do it the generate way.
Yeah, you want to generate right now.
Okay, so to do that, we would need to get rid of.
Yeah, stop your server and try running it and see what the error message is. Like, you should really see the errors. So now it's Rails, space G. Space controller. Space, what is it? Let's take a look. I think it's Rails. Let's see what is it? Is it Rails controller? Take a look here.
I'm looking it up too.
Yeah, I just forget. Yeah, it's Rails generate controller space books. Uppercase B.
Well, this is the to-dos app, so I should.
Oh, then uppercase to dos.
So Rails G controller.
Uppercase T, and then everything else lowercase to dos. There you go. Hit enter. It's going to error because you already have that controller done. All right. The name to-dos controller is already in use by your application and reserved by Ruby on Rails. All right. Now we know. So go back to and delete the to-dos controller. Delete it. There you go. Now try running it. Let's see what happens. There you go. Created the views to-dos. It didn't create the file, but it created the to-dos. So now you have the to-dos controller is back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you click on it, it should just have that. You'd have to create the index for it. Now what I want you to do is delete the to-dos again. Delete that file again. All right. Now go back to the terminal. Hit the up arrow. Space. Index. Hit enter. All right. Now go back to the to-dos controller. Up, 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 up. There you go. Click on to-dos. It's got an index now.
Oh, okay.
And now go to the views. And look, it has a to-dos folder with an index HTML. Click on that. Click on the index. And now if you start your server and go to to-dos, you're going to see that.
Okay. What does this mean? The conflict.
App views.
Views to-dos, ERB.
I don't know because we don't have, maybe it was there before.
Yeah, this was here before.
Oh, so the next line says it overrode it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just said it overrode it.
Oh, gotcha.
All right.
All right, so now we got to start our server back up.
Oh no, it actually asked us if we wanted to overwrite it. So yeah, you can say yes. Let's see if you just say yes. All right, cool. Now start the server. Rails S. Now go back to your server and try to go to to-dos, and it's going to take you to that to-dos index file. There you go. See? It's changed.
Oh, I gotcha. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Because we overwrote it. We told it to overwrite the file.
I see. Cool. All right. So now we're not doing the resources keyword part.
Yeah, the resources keyword is add all. Yeah, so go back to your to-dos. Go to the route.
So that's in the controller.
That's no, the route is
Oh,
in
it's
the config
RB.
folder. In the config folder, not an app. Close app. In your config, keep going down to routes. There you go. There you go. And you already have resources to do there. It's kind of a take up from the other one. So go back to the steps.
Okay.
And resources. So use the resources keyword to add all the needed to-do routes. And you did do that already. Using resources space to-dos has all the routes. How do you confirm that all the routes are there?
You did it in the terminal.
Yeah, Rails. So open up a new tab here, do Command T. If it opens it up, yeah. And then just do Rails routes. It's going to spit out. You're going to want to browse up towards the top to see all of the routes that it spit out that we're looking for right there. See that? Those are all the routes that exist now because you did resources. Okay?
I gotcha.
We really have all of the routes needed for our API server, but yet we don't have the database or anything for it.
I see. Oh, okay.
But we're setting it up so that we could have this back end when we get the database up and running.
Okay. So then what? So then now, so we've got all those routes created.
Yep.
Okay. So we just confirm the routes have been created with the command line.
And you
Update
don't-
the rest.
Yeah, good.
Update the rest of the app to display the custom message you did in part 3, which we already did that.
Yeah, we did that. You don't have to do that.
Yeah. Then okay. So we're
Yeah,
good.
you don't have to
with-
commit anything. This is like, that was just wanted to see if everybody remembered how to do it. If you don't do it, it's no biggie right now.
Gotcha.
And so now you're going to go to the other lab, which is really easy. This one, using the resources keyword, update the route to point to do's to only use index and show. And that's what we had done in books.
Yeah. So that means in the routes.
Yep.
So we did.
Were you coding along with books?
No. I was
Okay.
just trying-
So
take it in.
yeah, books, you're going to do something like this. Let me see. Okay.
In the routes RB, correct?
Yeah. I just slacked it to you. Obviously, you're not doing books. You would do to-dos.
To dos, and then okay, and then we
Yeah. Now save it and run it and see and make sure it works. At least make sure the index still works. I think what let me see. After books, there's a comma. Did you include a comma after books? After to-dos, there's a comma. There you go. Now try it again. All right. Now put a forward slash and try to like put an ID number of something. What does this mean?
Okay, so there's not a show in the controller.
So go to the controller. Okay, awesome. Now save it and go back, and you're going to see the error change to a different error.
Okay, there's no template for it now.
Got it. So now it wants to give back something, but it doesn't know what to give back. So in here, in the show, you could render something, right? And I had rendered back, you know, what I had done in the other app. I'm just going to pull it up. I'll show you what I had done. I'll just like it to you. But this is what my controller looked like. Okay? That's what I had done. I used the render first to like send the message and show that I was capturing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I used the @book equals params ID to send it to the template. You don't have to send it to the template. If what you do is just the render JSON and you send back what I have there, if that works, then you're good.
Okay, so we're gonna try to render something here on the show page.
Yeah. And if anything, you always, you know, you can render whatever you want. You can render something really simple like JSON and just give it a simple thing, or you can render what I just rendered.
Find local variable or method thing.
All right. Let's go back. All right, so you're sending back JSON, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to put the thing in double quotes.
Oh, duh.
You have to not only put the thing in double quotes, but now send it. There you go. See how it puts double quotes around simple too?
Yeah.
Okay. Now try adding the additional 2 things that I included. It doesn't need to be in quotes, params, this one, because it's a variable.
Oh, I see.
Or it was, yeah, leave it and then go.
And that's it, right?
Yep. Now refresh the page and you should have it. There you go.
Oh, okay. So now, yeah, that gets the 5. To do ID is 5.
Yep. If you change that number to 6, you should see a change also. There you go.
Cool.
And I think the rest of this was just to pass data to the template, which you don't have. You'd have to create it.
So the template would need to be in the views. So you would create a, would it still be in the same folder, this to-dos folder?
Uh-huh.
So you would just do, I mean, is there something that I need to name it specifically?
Yes. What's that called right there? What is that called?
This?
Yes. Index.
Index.
Where
So
is-
show?
Yeah, so you would create another file called show.html.erb. Okay. And let me. All right.
And then so instead of having all of this good stuff here,
Yeah.
I could move it to the show.
Well, no, you can't do that because it's an HTML file. You just can't. You can't call the render method. So in the show HTML file, you have to pass something. Yeah, so just put something there. You see it. And if you take a look at the lecture, you'll see how to pass something there. Okay? I'm going to just jump off. I'm going to go help Ade because he reached out like 10 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
Let me go help him for a little bit. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. So, everyone back? Almost. I think we got almost everyone back. Let me see. So I only have 2 clicks. Only 2 completed this. That's what I'm getting. Okay. Then let's walk through it and see if we can get everyone up to speed. So here we go. Let's take a look. Bloop. I'm going to spin up this server. Now, I have this. Let me see. Do I have the other servers? I have my books server. Let me see. Is this thing not running? Yep, that's not running. And then my to-do server is not running, right? So I'm going to go to my to-dos server. Just want to get rid of all the commands. Rails S, right? All right. Here's the Rails server. It's up and running. Go back here, and let me see. Did that? What happened? Oh, because it's port 3000 now, right? All right. So there, Rails server, to-dos, and hello from ERB. That's where I had left off. And the process to get to hello from ERB was in our routes, I have resources to-dos. Every to-do route that comes in is being responded to or created via this one specific keyword resources. Okay. Every route name is going to have a corresponding controller. So that means I got to go to the controllers folder. And in the controllers folder, I see a to-dos controller. The name to-dos comes from to-dos route. These two are identical. Click on to-dos controller, and there is an index file. I'm sorry, there's an index method. Now, the index method was rendering this plain text, and if I add the plain text, let me see, is it not doing it? Plain. There we go. I see hello. If I get rid of it, and I save it, you give it a second, it changes. It changes because the index route is now forcing itself to look in the views folder for a to-dos folder that contains an index view. Okay? This index now is representative of the method name. Right? Still to-dos being the consistent naming convention. To-dos route, to-dos controller, to-dos layout folder, index being referenced by index. All right? Now, in the index is where I had hello from ERB. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page with that. So now if I go back here and it's like use the resources keyword to update the route to only point to to-dos, but only the index and the show route. Okay, well, if I go to the routes, where's my routes? I'm gonna get rid of some of these things so I can just open up my routes. All right, this is my other routes to books. So I'm gonna open up my routes here. And I wanna say, if I follow what's in the books route, I wanna say on books, only listen for these. So I'm going to go back to to-dos. Okay, I got my format. All right, comma, only, all right, colon, to-do, index, show, all right? Only, colon, array, index, show. Only, colon, array, index, and show. These are the only two methods that I want to show. Now, if I go back here and I try to show one of them, ID of one, I'm going to get the action show could not be found for to-dos controller. So the to-dos controller is there. Now watch what happens if I remove show and I just leave index. No route matches get to-dos. Okay? Without putting show here, I don't have a show route. So of course I'm going to get a message saying that the route doesn't exist. Having a show route means I need a supporting method called show in the shows to-dos controller, and I don't have that. So this is where I go to my to-dos controller and I create the corresponding show method. Okay? If I run this, now if I run this, what's going to come back to me? Who wants to tell me what the next error in the sequence is? Nobody?
You're not going to have a view.
Correct. To-dos view, to-dos controller show is missing a template, right? So we could go and create the template in views and to-dos. I could do this. I really don't want to, but I'll just show you. I could do show.index.html.erb, and I could just say, h1 hitting the show route. And that works. Okay? But I don't really want to do this. So I'm going to go back to the to-dos controller and say, I would like to render some JSON. JSON, right? Let me see, when I forgot how to do this one more time. Books. Yeah, render JSON colon and then the object. All right. To-dos render JSON colon, and then the object that we want to send over. Now, I can send whatever I want. I'm going to say, status 200, right? 200 message. I want to say the params object is params object, right? And I want to say the to-do ID is params bracket colon ID. All right, params is a variable, which means I could just send the whole thing. Params has an object, and inside of the object is a key called ID. All right, let's see if this works. Boom. There we go. You see? Status 200, status 200. Params is an object. It's a variable. I didn't create it. I just referenced it. It exists because I also have something here and an ID, right? That's why it exists, okay? It gives me some information about the controller that's being used, the action that's being used, and the ID that I sent. So if I send an ID of 100, I'll get 100. It's in the object. I only included the object so I could show you that I could elicit out of the object the exact ID. And the ID is important because we will have a database. We will need to go to the database. We will need to fetch the data from the database. And if they want a specific thing, we always reference the thing based on the ID, right? Guarantee that something's going to be unique only based on its ID, not based on the naming convention. Maybe a user name on a website will be unique, but I'll always do it based on their ID anyway, right? It's just the way that is. There's predefined find, and you just put an ID number, and it'll find the ID, right? Like, cool. So I did that. Show. It should render back the params. Test out the controller to work. Make sure it's working. Update the controller to store the params in an instance called to do. So for this one, what I did was this. I wound up, just to show you, if we did at todos is equal to params ID. And because I stored it in this instance variable and I commented out the render, it's now going to call the show routes view. And here, with those little squigglies, what was it? What was it again? I always get these confused here. Yeah. Bracket. All right, I'm just going to copy this. Boom. Instead of book, it's to do. I think it's to do. I'm going to make it to do. If it's to do's, wouldn't make much sense. I would say to do, since I'm looking for a specific to do. To do, because I'm looking for a specific to do. And these symbols here just mean render the Ruby instance variable, render its value. Okay, go here. And I get an error, no matching, get books 5. Oh, I'm on 5. Here, to do's. There we go. Hitting the show route 100. Okay? Maybe hitting the show route. Maybe I'll do this. Close the H1, go to the next line, say paragraph, and just say to do ID is, boom. Okay? That's really all we had to do for this. I really wanted to convey as much as possible the routes, the need in the route to have something like this. We went from doing one specific route to doing multiple routes, right? To having multiple methods, a show and an index, to having multiple views, of which we will not be using. But I wanted you to get exposed to the views so that you know ERB is very similar to EJS in the fact that Ruby variables can be enumerated within the template. Same thing as EJS, no different. Okay? We're good? Any questions? Is this like completely foreign? I feel like you were just introduced to Rails on Wednesday, right? That was your first introduction. You did the backend, you did the migrations, and now you're thrown into the more of the routing side of things and how to connect to it. What's kind of like the most puzzling piece here? Anyone have any feedback as to what is maybe the hardest thing to wrap your head around? I know it's a new backend. I'm just curious what maybe the learning curve is with this particular backend.
For me, originally, it was just knowing how the files were connected, because everything is already just built for you. Like the hierarchy is already there.
Uh-huh.
Whereas like in the past, we've had to build everything step by step. So I knew where to go to pass something in somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay.
It's hard for me to connect all of the
Files, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, having a server that is highly opinionated and created for people to like just get up and running with a server, right? So imagine not really being the most technical back-end person, but being able to spin up a server in which with a few lines of code, you could get a server that you could send data to, retrieve data to, edit data. Like the thing works. Like you wouldn't have to do much. That's relieving for somebody that's like, damn, I'm a solid front end person. Now I got to like spin up a back end. Oh, I don't know. Imagine trying to do it in Node and Express and everything from scratch and importing everything. That's got to be really daunting for someone, right? Even in the world of Express, though, there was, I'm just going to stop this. There was I think, an Express, let me see, Express Generator. There was a tool, Node Express Generator. Just to show you that, we never really used it, and a lot of people don't use it. It's an NPM package, all right. So I have to install this. But I want you to see that there was a package that we can install. See this, okay. I guess, yes. All right. And Node Generator, NPM install G, okay. Express Generator, Express Options K. I just want to see if it started it. Express View Pug. I'm just going to spin this up. It's using a view of Pug instead of EJS, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, yeah. How's that? How's that not there? Express install. Oh. Maybe NPX, maybe I have to do this. Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So I get Express H I would have. Now I'm going to try doing the other one. I just want you to see that there was, in my instructor examples, right? Oh, here we go. Oh, I didn't put it into its own folders. So look, it created all of these subfolders. I thought it was going to create a KDIR Express G. Now I'm going to change into the Express G to run it one more time. Oh, we're in Express G. All right, here we go. This is the Express Generator. Okay, and it would generate an Express app. Look at this. Look at all this. I didn't type one line of code and Express gave me a whole server. Okay? It imports a bunch of stuff. I got Morgan, cookie parser. I got Express JSON, URL cookie. I got all this stuff. I got user routes. This thing is configured already with views. Look, I got an ENG, Pug is a templating engine. What I'm trying to show you is Rails has it, and people created corresponding template engines for Express also. And you could spin up an Express server relatively easy with a couple of commands, and it would build the whole structure similar to what Rails does for you. Okay? I'm going to have to delete all of these things now because they shouldn't be there, right? Express G. All right. Anything else that, besides kind of just the structure, anything else we want to discuss? Because we're going to move on, start creating some additional migrations. Now we're going to move back into like migrations and do some other stuff. No? Okay. And I'm just deleting this stuff. I want to get this stuff out of here. That's my mistake. Okay, delete. All right. Use, get rid of this too, and then we're done. Boom. Okay, sweet. All right. No further questions. Going once, going twice. Done. All right. Here is lecture number 2. for the day. Okay. So we're going to configure all of our RESTful routes and write the controller methods and index and show files for it also, but we're going to connect it to the backend. Okay? So, change directory to documents, change directory to, all right. I got to go back in because when I deleted it, I was still in that directory. SCI, change directory to SEI, remote flex May, unit 4, week 19, day 03. All right. Structure examples. All right. Sweet. So I'm going to initialize. Once again, this is a code along as well. If you want to watch, you can watch. If not, you can code along. I am recording. Okay. So I'm going to start, create a brand new server, Rails, new, songs, app, API, dash API. I want it to be an API server now. Okay. Dash skip dash get dash D PostgreSQL. Right? Okay. Here we go. Songs. There we go. Looks like it's still creating. It's done. I got my songs server. Awesome. If I go to my config file, I'll see there's a routes. There's no routes as of right now. Right? There's not one route here. If I go to the app and I go to controllers, there's just the application controller. So I don't really have anything right now. Okay. I'm going to run Rails S to hit the server. Oh, I have to change it to the directory, right? Change into songs. Rails S should listen on port 3000 unless the other server's still up and running. All right, cool. I'll go to to-dos because I did stop it. Localhost 3000. And look, damn. Now I'm getting this active record, no database error. This is kind of, I'm going to say similar to maybe what Tiffany was getting too. Tiffany had gotten something similar to this. I didn't see the error, but she did mention this. When
That was it.
That was it? Yeah. So what happens is this. You started up, so I don't know, once again, the command that when Brendan was helping you, but maybe this was part of the command. I don't know. All I know is this, when it boots up using dash API, means you're trying to access the default route, and it's like, hey, there is no database. I got nothing to send. I got nothing to give you, right? Now, once again, there is no route there, and yet it's trying to give us something back, right? So, I mean, I could go in here, create the route controller, and do that. We're not going to do that right now. All right. So, we get this failed does not exist. All right. Whoosh. So, I'm going to quit my server. I have to do some things. What do I have to do? Well, if I run Rails DB create, that is going to create my database. What database is it going to create? It's going to create a songs app API database. Okay. Now I'm going to go here. I opened up Postigo. Did we use Postigo at all to look at databases? No? Okay. Postigo is a GUI tool that you can use to look at some of your Postgres databases. Mongo had its own thing. I think we used a Mongo tool to look at our Mongo databases. So I'm taking a look at here. I'm just looking for anything that has songs. I was playing around with songs pre-class. Like I was working through the lecture, making sure everything was on point. So I have this songs app API pre-class. That was me creating it. I'm going to go ahead and create the database. Just run Rails DB create. What that's going to do is it's going to take the name of my my app name, songs underscore app underscore API, and create a corresponding database. Now watch. All right, look, create a database, and if I go here, and I refresh, there should be a songs app API development, okay? And there should be a songs app API test. They're just split between these two because this one also has API, okay? So it just created this and it created that, so I have a database. Okay, I'm just gonna periodically go back here instead of going to the terminal and doing like, going to the Postgres command terminal, I could just use this tool, just an easier tool. All right, cool. So I start now, I'll start the server again, Rails S. Okay, go back here. I will refresh. Look at that. Now I have Rails run. Awesome. I don't have any routes, but I'm going to go create that right now. I'm going to do what I need to do to get some of those things going. Okay. We want to make a song model. So when it comes to connecting to our database, we have the database, but we need to connect to it. We need to speak to the database. We need to prepare it to add things to the database. Now, our database doesn't have any what? What is our database missing? What does our database not have? If we wanted to store data, what would we need? The first thing we need to create in a database to store data is what? A table. We need a table. I don't have a table in here. There's no table. It's just a database with no tables. So I need at least a table to do something, right? Okay. But we also need a model too. We need models in order to create the structure for what those tables are going to contain, right? So a table is just a place to store the information, and that table accepts the data in specific column names and values, right? And so we want to kind of prepare the creation of this model so that we have something to put into the table. Because even if I created the table, I still couldn't put anything in it from Rails. I could go to the tool, like I could go here, and in this previous pre-class development, here's the songs. I could do it because the table was created already. I could go here and add something. I could go add whatever I want. I can go in here and edit these things. I could do different things because the table is created, and I can use a GUI tool to communicate with that table. Rails isn't going to be using this post-to-go tool. It's going to be using its model to create and connect to it, okay? So we need to generate the migration for the songs table. All right, so here we go. So I am going to close out of this. I'm going to do Command-T to open up another terminal window so that I'm in the songs app API. That's where I want to be, right? I happen to be in that generate. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to merge it with master in a little bit anyway. So now I'm in here. Cool. So I'm going to run this command. Rails generate migration create songs. That's what I want to do. Create songs. And I'm going to go here in my songs, and I'm going to go to, there's the models. I'm going to leave the models open up, right? Because it's the model and the database. These are the two things we're going to be working with, models and DB. So let's see what happens when I kick this off. All right, looks like the database has got a migrate folder, and the migrate folder has this. So now I have this migration. Can anyone tell me what the migration folder is used for? I remember Ryan, I watched the video from last class, so I know exactly how Ryan referenced the migrations and how important they are.
It tracks our changes?
Yeah. So the migration table is going to be the initial starting point for how you create the table and for the models of information that you're going to put in the table. The if I need to alter the table, maybe I gave the table the wrong name and I want to alter it. Maybe I added a column and I need to alter the column name. You create a migration file to do anything that is related to managing the database tables and models, okay? You never go in there directly. It's always via this tool. This is your conduit, okay? So now I have this table, create table, all right? Songs is going to be the table, right? Do this. This is a looping construct. And T represents within the table, what do you want to do? Well, I want to do, let me just over here. I want to do this. I want to have a column name set to a string called title. I want to have a title. I want to have a column name that's set to a string value called artist name. I want to have a column that's set to a string value, and the name of that column is artwork. These are going to be my columns. These are going to be the ones that are going to be added to the table once I generate the table. Okay. So in order to generate the table based on the migrations, I have to run Rails DB migrate. Okay, by running this command, Rails is going to look for all migration files and run them in the sequence that they were created. Because this file name is the actual date at which the date and time at which this file was created. Every file that we create will be added underneath in sequence, and it'll go through each one, create the table, and if we needed to modify the table, there would have been another migration table. If I accidentally called title the wrong name, I wouldn't go into this migration table to edit it. I would create a new migration table that would target that column and rename it. Okay, it's very specific how you handle this. You just don't go into files and start editing. There's a method to this madness. Okay, I'm going to go to, there's no schema file right here. We're going to see a schema file open up any second when I run Rails DB migrate. There we go, schema file. This schema file now says, hey, enable this plugin SQL extension, and look, create table songs, force, cascade, do, and then it creates all these things. Okay, so I'm curious. I'm going to go back to P-SQL, and I just want to see, did it create this thing? I don't know, I'm curious. I gotta make this bigger. All right, it's not making this bigger. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my development server. I'm gonna refresh this. Look what I got. I got schema migrations, array data, and then I got songs, and there's nothing in here, but there's title, artist name, and artwork. Okay, so I want you to see that. Running that creates this schema migrations, right? And it's telling us the name of the file. That's actually the name of this file. It ends in 53. Look, ends in 53. That's the schema file that we imported it from. Cool. I'm not sure what this is. This is some development information. And then songs is the table. Okay? Cool. Now we need to create a model file because we want to populate the data. And in order to populate the table, we need to give it some sort of model in order to use to construct that information to add it to the table. So in the model folder right here, I'm going to create a models file, new file, called song.rb. What am I adding? Songs, right? But each song is an individual song. Okay. Now, inside of this models file, here's song, I'm going to add a new class called song. It's going to inherit from application record. Okay. And once again, Rails uses a very specific type of ORM, active records. Application record is just one of those kind of classes that says, hey, this is kind of an application record for you to create. Awesome. So now I have this. I have this song, right? I didn't add anything to it yet, but I have this constructed for us. This is going to be our conduit to making requests to the model. Okay. I want to have some fake data. Okay. So in order for us to have fake data, they're going to have us install this gem file, right? So Faker is an API as well as, yeah, it's an API and allows you to create fake data. It's kind of like Random User API or the Star Wars API or Pokemon API. It allows you to generate fake data. So I want to generate some fake data. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to my gem file. And it says, hey, gem faker. It wants me to add gem faker to the gem file, right? So I could manually do that. But we did have that tool called GemRat. GemRat should add that also there. So if I do GemRat faker, this should, there you go, look, added faker. If I didn't add it this way, I would have had to go in here and done gem space faker. I could have done that. I don't need the versioning. It did add the version. Now that I've done that, I've added faker. I got to bundle it into the application. So you have to run bundle. So I have to do bundle. That's going to install the gems. Sweet. Bundle complete. 10 discrepancies. Sweet. Okay. So now I have faker. I can work with faker. I'm going to go back to the seeds. Oh, actually, I'm not going back. I'm going to seeds. Now, seeds gives you some like templates. Like, hey, if you wanted to like create movies, you could use movie.create. Only if you had a movies model, then it'll work. I don't have a movies model. But if you did want to create it, it shows you how to create it and then how to create a single character. Okay, well, I'm doing songs. I don't need a single character. So I'm going to go in here and say, how do I just add songs using this new faker tool? Oh, well, I could do 10 times do, right, do, and I'm going to end. What does 10 times do? I don't really mean to say it over. But what is 10 times in the language of Ruby? What would you call that?
Create this loop 10 times. Or
Yeah, it's a looping construct in Ruby, right? It's just a way to loop 10 times. Do it 10 times. Awesome. So if I'm going to do it 10 times, I'm going to say song.create, and then I'm going to say the title is going to call faker, : hipster dot sentence 3. 3 words for the sentence, I think. Artist underscore name, : faker, : team dot name, comma, artwork, : faker, : place hold it dot image 50 times 50. So placehold it is a site that allows you to create image placeholders. I don't know, has anyone used it before? Placehold it, going once, going twice. If you go to placehold it, it's a really cool site. Placeholder, is it placehold it? Placeholder, I think it's placeholder. I think that's one that I use. You know, I used, I think, placeholder, maybe it's this one. I think I used placeholder.com. Yeah, placeholder is the same thing. You can get a URL from here that has these images, just black and white. And then I could do this. See this? If I grab this URL and I go here, oh no, did I grab it? I can grab an image. Too big of an image. It's telling me too big of an image. All right, whatever. Not sure why I did that. But you can grab placeholders. So if you're ever building out your design and you don't have the assets yet, the images, you can go ahead here and grab images, placeholders, and it'll create something that says 200 by 100, representing the size of the image that you would ultimately put there, okay? So it looks like it's using a combination of like Faker's using another tool, okay? So as far as the these double colons, it's just a way to access methods inside of a class. That's really what it is. There is a link here for you to read up on it, the Faker documentation. You can read how to do everything. Okay, so now that I have this, I have the seed database, right? Seeds, okay. Run the seed file. Got it. Rails db : seed. This should populate the database with data, right? I'm going to go here. No, I'll run it first and I'll open this up. Now watch. Done. I'm going to refresh my songs table. Look, I have 10 songs with placeholder images. If ever I make a call to the server to get me all of the songs, it will give me the title, it will give me the artist name, and it will give me these placeholders that I could use just as image placeholders as I'm working on the song card, right? So we could go to the Rails command or console. So if I did Rails C, short for the Rails console, I'm in the IRB, and I could do song.all, and I will get all the songs. See, all the songs. All you got to do is see this, you'll know it's a song, right? I could say, hey, song find one, and I get the one song. Do you see why grabbing the param was such a good idea when we were doing routes? If you send me a single value of an ID, I can go in and grab the thing at that ID. That's ultimately what we're going to be doing, right? Okay, so now we have these routes. Okay, established routes work differently than Rails and Node and Express. I get it. We know that. And we just did this earlier today. So what is routes songs doing? I'm sorry, resources songs doing? Who wants to volunteer that?
It creates the route.
It creates what routes?
You said what route?
Yeah, what routes, plural, does it create?
All the routes.
All the routes. No, you're right. Don't be shy. It creates all of the routes. So I'm going to go into the config file because that's where my routes are. I'm going to go to routes and I'm going to say, hey, I want all of the routes for songs. Okay. Now, if I run Rails routes now, right, I'm going to get out of the terminal and exit. I'm going to say Rails routes. And I should have all of the routes. Here's song route. You see it? Song, song, song. Song, patch, put, delete, all of that. So I have all my Rails routes. And these will be the routes that you will see. Okay? If you do Rails routes, you will see all of this information, and that's what we see here. Songs get, songs post, songs get, song post, and then songs get, patch, push. Right? Get all the songs, post all the songs, and get all the songs. Awesome. Okay. Now that we have that route, right? We have these songs. What does that mean now? I have this route. What else do I need now? That means if I was to spin up this server, did all these commands, here's my Rails S command. Oh, okay. Rails S. If I start my, oh, I think it's books. Oh, here. Yeah, it's already running. It's still running. I'm going to go back here. Still getting this no matching route books 5. Okay. What if I try to do, oh, we're doing songs anyway, right? Here, let me stop this. Songs, Rails S. Okay. I don't think I started this thing. That's why. Songs. All right. Uninitialized constant songs controller. What does that mean?
We don't have control.
Yeah, I don't have a controller, right? I have a route. This route should be calling a songs controller. That songs controller calls a method. That method returns either an ERB file or the data itself, right? So we need that, and that's where our controllers come in, right? I'm in my app controllers, and in here I'm going to go ahead and create a new file called songs underscore controller.rb. Awesome. We know that we need that because our route has songs. So we need a songs controller. Okay. Now that I have the songs controller, I'm going to go class songs controller accepts or inherits from the application controller. Controller. Okay. I'm going to inherit from it. Awesome. I don't know. Does it work? Let me test. Ah, I'm getting closer. The action index could not be found in songs controller. Cool. I now know I'm missing an index to tell it what to do. And guess what? Index. So we're just going to jump to the index. So inside the songs controller, I create a def, a method for index, and I end that index. Okay. Now they're showing you here what it would look like in Express. You already know that, right? This is the world of Express, and you're well versed in that. Here, they're rendering JSON. We did that earlier. Or they rendered JSON high, then they rendered JSON, then there's another version of JSON. Then there's this version of rendering active record, but we're not even going to go this route, right? I don't think we have a. What I want to do is this. I want to render all of the songs, okay? I'm going to just bypass this because we're not going to do this anyway. This actually shows you the command that's being run under the hood. So when you run active record runs a SQL command, select star from songs. That's the command that it runs. But we can extrapolate that using the song model, and the song model will ultimately call this. It does this under the hood. So I'm not going to type all that out. So what I'm going to say is render JSON, send it as JSON, song.all. Right? I go back here, I hit songs, and I get all my songs. Look, in the terminal, it actually shows me the SQL command that it's using. Select songs, star dot from songs. It's actually giving them back, it would return it back as songs if it was creating some sort of row of data. So you see, I got all my data. 1, 2, 3, right? Pretty cool. Got all my data. What if I want to send, well, here they're sending all the status codes too. So what you could do when you make a request to the server, the first thing you could say is, if I get back data and status code is 200, then I know I got back the data. So here, all it's doing is storing the song data in a variable. So I can say songs is equal to song.all. And then I can render JSON, but I'm going to also render the status code of 200 and the songs of songs, right? Songs is going to be a key that stores songs, okay? And this status code is just used for the developer who asked for the data to confirm that everything worked. Status code 200 means, hey, everything is copacetic. Here's the data, everything's good. If I go back here, and I make the request, look, I have an extra key value pair. And so when I make the request using fetch, I would be like, res.json and then pass it on and be like, data.status, if it's equal to 200, great, then that must mean I have songs. Then you could work with your songs, okay? What if I want to show an individual route? A single, not a route, an individual song. Well, I also need a show route, correct? If you're going to ask for a specific thing, then I'm going to need the ID of the thing that you want. I could say ID is equal to params colon ID, and now I've gotten the ID of the thing. It still has to send it to me, right? I could, right now, just for the sake of it, do render JSON, and then just say, ID is what params is ID. Let's do this. Watch. If I go back to the server and I put a / here, 1, I get ID is equal to 1. If I do 2, I get ID is equal to 2. Correct? I probably would want to do this too. If I'm going to follow that whole status code thing, I probably want to do status, 200, and then make the fetch to get the data and then send it. I'm not going to send the ID back. That's what you gave to me. I'm not going to give it back to you. I'm going to return the thing that you asked for. How do I do that? Right here. What if I was to do this? Song.find ID. Right? ID, song.find finds a single thing. Look at that. Look at that. 3, look at that. The Art Party, Michigan Crows, West Virginia Lycanthropes. Okay? Sweet. So I can get back to songs. I send back the status code. Everything looks great. Okay. So there's our params. And I think that's it. Yeah. Okay. Now, I probably wouldn't put songs in here. I'd probably do what it did and do more something like this. Song is equal to, what is it? Song dot find params ID. And then instead of doing this, I would do song, right? I wonder if I could use a single thing here, like JavaScript, right? JavaScript allows you, if the key and the value are the same, I wonder if that'll work. Is that gonna work? Bloop! Doesn't work. This is the one thing that JavaScript has that this thing doesn't have. Boom. Right there. I get everything. Okay?
Joe,
Yeah.
Go back to the seed part. Yeah, I think you went kind of fast with that one.
Okay, let's go back to the seed.
Yeah, how did you, I get this piece where you did the whole faker.
Yep.
But how did you seed the database?
So running this seed file, we did db run seed. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to take a look at my history of commands, okay? Here's my history of the commands. And what you're going to see are things like this. Rails run the migration. Then I migrated over to create the table. And I installed Faker. I bundled it. Then I did this, and then I ran Rails DB seed. Then I went to the terminal and I ran routes. These were the series of commands that I did in order to get the data in there. Okay, I'm going to select that out. Okay, those are the commands that I ran. I created the migration file. I migrated it. The migration file was this. The migration file created the table. After the table was created, I went into the seed file, installed Faker, looped, and set it up, staged this thing so if this file was run, it would populate the database because now it has a table. I then ran dbseed. dbseed seeds or runs the seed file. That is what populated the database. That make sense today?
Yes, but how do we know, like, other than doing the whole song.find, how would we know the database has objects in there?
So how do you know the database has these objects? Is that the question? Okay. So one way to do that is I could go to the Rails C command that takes me into RB, and I could do song.all. And look, I have all my songs now. Look, it gives me back all the songs. I could, say I went out of this. I'm going to exit. If I went into PSQL, I'm in the PSQL command. I do \L. I'm going to see, I keep doing this, songs, app development, right? And I could now, I'm going to do this one more time. I could say connect to that, and now I'm connected to the songs API, and I could say select star from the songs. Oh, nope. We are connected though, right? It's been a while since I went into the PSQL command. Connect to that table. Now I'm connected to the database songs. Oh, if I do DT, I see songs. Okay. Now if I do select star from songs, semicolon, I was missing the semicolon because it's a SQL command and you have to do the semicolon. Now I see that the data is there. Okay. I didn't really want to go this route of doing it in SQL, you know, using the pSQL. That's why I used the Post2Go tool. It's just a free tool that allowed me to see it. But either this using the pSQL command or using Rails S, I'm sorry, not Rails S, Rails C, and then saying song.all would show me all the songs. Song.all is our ORM. How did you do it in Mongo? Does anybody remember what the command in Mongo would have been to like get all of the things in the database? That's the closest ORM. That's the only other ORM that you've used. The ORM is I don't know, is it object relational model or something like that? I forgot what the name is.
db.find.all.
Okay, so there you go, db.findAll, right? This is very similar in context and syntax. It's just unique to active record. This is the active record way of doing it. If you have a song controller and you have a song model, well, the song model is really what's important, then you are now able to find all songs because you have this song model, okay? And when you ran the migration table, it knew to create a songs table. And by creating a songs table, the songs model, the song model knows to go there and grab all the songs. All right. Let me put a poll out here. How is everyone doing? 8. Love it. Ask. I'm lost. Anonymous. Okay. All right, here's the poll. It's anonymous, so I'm not going to know who says what. So if you do say, like, I'm lost, I won't know it's you. Okay. Sometimes working with it is how you're going to get it, right? So no loving it yet. No one loves it. Kind of getting it. Okay. Kind of getting is good. I like that. That's the predominant feeling. Not sure what to ask. Okay. Love it. Awesome. It really is cool because now that the server is up and running, I can ultimately pull data now. If I had a React front end, like if we had time, I would spin up a React front end. We'd make a request to this and we'd get data. Okay. I could literally get the data now if I wanted to and build it using React. Okay. Because you really need to like keep working with React. Otherwise you're going to forget how to use it. All right. So, not know what to ask. Okay. Songs. So, songs model. What does that allow me to do? What does the song model allow me to do? Chrissy, what does the song model allow me to do?
Make a schema, like parameters around your data.
Okay. What was this? So, the song model right here. I'm going to go to the controller. And what was this? Where did song.all come from?
Your database.
Okay. Well, song.all, what is song by itself? It would be considered a model. Okay?
Right.
Because I have this class called song inside of the models folder, it's a model. And so in songs controller, calling song now calls the model. The model is pre-configured based on the migration. It knows what database to connect to and what table to connect to. Okay? That's what's so important about this. This one thing that apparently has nothing inside of it, and yet it knows what to do. It knows the database, it knows the table, it has corresponding commands like all and find. Like, where did those come from? Those are active record methods, and active record requires this song model. Okay? And it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us. I remember in Mongo, you had to like connect to the Mongo process, tell it the database you wanted to connect to. I haven't had to do any of that. Like, this thing can almost configured itself. I did DB, create the database, and voila, bingo, the thing was like magically appeared before my eye. Like, the database is there, Rails knows to use the database. It was all magic under the hood. Okay. Let's see. Yes, you saw that, the relation, right? So when you do this, active record relation. Yeah, so Dave just pointed out, when you run that command in the terminal, I get this, active record relation, right? Active record is responsible now for building up and finding those relationships. So when you do all, it finds all of the songs based on select songs.star from songs. Okay?
So when it's empty, that means there's nothing in there, right?
Correct, yeah. If I created something else and there was no table, like if I went back to the migration and created another table, maybe I create an artist table and I create the table, but I don't populate it. If I go and create a model called artists or artist, I could do the artist.all, but I would get nothing back because there's nothing in the table. Okay? So all these little pieces are super important. Oh, right. Any other? Going once. Here's your chance. Going twice. All right. So there is this third lab, which, based on the time, I'm going to assign this as homework. And it's to continue or create a books lab again. So you're going to create another books one. This time you're going to be using the API command and the Postgres. You're going to be doing all of this. Okay. You're going to walk through creating directories and creating things. Okay. Creating the models, running the migrations, doing DB create to create them, seeding the file 100 times to create 100 of them. Okay. You are going to make the controller, books controller to get the books. You'll make an index to get all the books. You will, there's got to be a show in here someplace, right? Nope. Show to show. Okay. With that, you'd be able to do it. There's also a bonus here, member routes. When you use resources in routes RB, right? The resources keyword creates all of the routes, right? It generates a bunch of boilerplate routes that you can use. What if you want more than just those 5 routes? Okay, look into using member routes to add other actions, okay? So you would look into that if you wanted a bonus. Cool, so let me Slack out and just say, this is going to be the homework. All right, you lucky. Oh, I don't know why I did that. I'm just trying to get pre-defined little template I use here. In the classroom. Boom. Week 19, day 03. Rails controller routes. Rails routes. Controller homework. And then the README is going to be that. All right. That's the homework.
Joe, what does
Yeah.
double colon do?
I'm sorry, say that again?
What does the double colon do in Flickr?
So what the double colon does is, if I go back into the lecture, it's real quick. The double colon allows you to access a method inside of a class. So if I just go here to the what does the double colon do, right? I'm going to go down here. You should now use kind of a better explanation was, I think it was here. Let me see. It allows, it's a unary operator that allows constants, instance methods, and class methods defined within a class or module to be accessed anywhere outside of the class. So basically, when we have class methods, how do we access a method in a class? How do we gain access to that method, right? Can I do something like, I want to go back to gladiators. I'm just going to pull up the REPL that we were doing for maybe gladiators in arena. Says that? Let me see. See, here's our gladiator class. I know we had our new gladiators. What if I wanted to get access to this method in Gladiator? Could I just do this? Would it be possible? I'm just going to take this, copy it. I'm just going to create a new Ruby REPL. All right, so I have this. Is it possible to do this? Gladiator dot arm with weapon. No. Undefined method. It doesn't allow me just to instantiate an instance and grab this thing, right? If I did, I think if I did this, self dot, it may, does that? No. Arm with weapon. Yeah, gladiator, arm with weapon. Or maybe I got rid of def and I put self here. I think there's another way to do this. I'm just trying to show you that. Sent to unexpected token, keyword end. Yeah, so it's not going to allow me to do this. You just can't do that. What happens is it's not going to allow me to access that method directly. So I think if we do this, and I don't really do this very often, I don't even know if this is, oh, that's why, because arm with didn't have an underscore here. So I actually think I was doing it wrong. Arm with, there we go. Look, arm with, undefined method, cool. I'm going to try doing that self again. Let me see if this works. That, nope. Okay, it does run number of arguments. Expected 1 and given 0, expected 1. So if I give it a weapon of, say, spear, this works. So I'm accessing this method from within this class, right? I didn't instantiate the class, but I could actually execute the method. I think, once again, if I do this, I'm going to get that error, right? Arm with is not. I think if now I did the double colon, I might be able to access or instantiate that. I think, no, yeah, it won't work. I think we might need another keyword in order to get that to work, okay? But if we did have these class methods, which is that, within a class or module to be accessed anywhere, okay? I don't really do that too often. I only do it because it's part of this thing. It's not something that I write, but say this module, some module, has an inner module and a class, and I want to get the constant. Some module would allow me to access inner module using the double colon. Inner module, double colon, would allow me to access the my class method, and then inside of that, double colon would allow me to access the constant that's in there. So I think, maybe I did it wrong. Maybe if I did it like this, constant, I don't know, what was this thing? Let's just say is equal to 4. Right, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to make sure that this thing doesn't error. And let's do constant. See if this works. Look, I get the number 4, right? If I just did dot constant, would that get it? No, I'd error. So it allows me to elicit variables inside of the class using that specific syntax. Okay? Is that cool?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. There's certain things in Rails and Ruby that I would work with more often than not. And outside of doing something like this specifically with the Faker tool, I don't really work with the double colon. But based on what I read, I can reproduce portions of it because I know now what it's doing. So looking at this, I know what it's doing. All right. So you got your homework. That's your homework. There's going to be, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday, Ryan's going to be working through like a full day build with you. Then maybe next Saturday, we might jump onto React and connecting the front end with the back end, right? And then you're getting really close to like final project time. So get your ideas. Think about what you want to build. Start mocking up React architectures and, you know, schema files and ERDs. What do you want to do? What is your dream app? And then scale it down. Whatever it is, scale it really simple so it's achievable and it looks beautiful, and you know you can bang it out in the time you have. Okay? I will, once the video compiles, I'll push the video up so you'll have something to reference as well. We're working on the lab. And I think it's 4:52. So outside of exit tickets, you don't have any questions. Anyone have questions?
Joe, I have one question
Sure,
about
Kristen.
what we have left. So this will be our last project, right? And then
Mhm.
and then do we have a week at the end to put our portfolio site together?
Yeah, I believe your portfolio site, I think it's after you graduate, you're given the week to provide your portfolio site to outcomes, right? That's an outcomes thing.
Oh,
I think it is. Once again, remote and the New York campus, they might have some nuances between it.
okay.
What I would suggest, and if you haven't already started doing it, start working on your portfolio site. Like if you haven't started working on it, try mocking up what you want for a portfolio and start building it out in React. You don't have to connect it to anything. Remember, your portfolio just has to be something up and running. It doesn't have to be a full stack back-end app. I would never go that far. You're going to spin up your React portfolio, and then once you get a job, you're never going to touch your portfolio until you're looking for the next job. Like I haven't touched my portfolio in forever. And I teach this stuff all the time. I could easily be like, hey, today we're going to build out my portfolio again. I just don't bother. It's not like a priority for me. But at this point in time, you should be thinking about it now. But you do have time after graduation, I believe, to get the portfolio done. But I'll confirm with Ryan on that.
Okay.
And ask
Yeah.
outcomes too. Yeah, Brendan.
I don't know what Ryan's expectations are, but I know that when I was a student in like the full-time SCI, we had to present our final projects along with our portfolio. And I know we don't do like project presentations necessarily here, but I don't know if like Ryan would want to like see that along with the final project, like as like a submission.
Yeah, I'll run it past Ryan and get some feedback and see what he says.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It almost is always expected that by the time they graduate, they have it. In the day class that I was teaching, we had the students for project one build out a portfolio, and of course, it really wasn't the best looking portfolio. It was this. They barely had the skills to do things, and it's okay. And then they didn't touch their portfolio since then. No one's worked on their portfolio since unit one. But they have a template to kind of work off, but now they have to refactor it for React and make it mobile. It's not an easy thing. So even though they had a little bit of a head start, it's almost like you also have a head start because you can start from scratch. They're trying to like take stuff and fit it and make it work. And you could just be like, I don't have anything. I can just put the nav here, and now I have all this additional skill set to organize the HTML in a better way than refactoring something that shouldn't have been written the way it was, and you now have the skills to do it better. Cool. All right. Well, then we're off to do the lab/homework. And reach out, if you have any questions. If I'm jumping online, I'll try to answer. If not, I will see everyone next Saturday. Cool?
Thanks, Joe.
All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night. All right.
Hey, Joe.
Yes.
If you don't mind, can I share my screen real quick?
Sure, yeah, good.
So I guess the part I'm kind of confused with was
Yeah.
I did the Rails DBC thing.
Yeah.
here,
Got
and
it?
I don't still see any, like, after that I went into the Rails, wrong.
Yeah.
I went into the Rails console, but I still wouldn't see any song in there. So I wasn't.
Okay, you're in.
I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to be in.
Yeah, I don't see it. Oh, you were just in the Postgres terminal. That's why.
So Rails DBC.
Yeah.
And
Let's see what happens. So you look like you're getting errors.
yeah.
So you're getting errors because Aborted title, Faker, sentence. Now, did you install Faker?
Yeah, I did.
All right, where's Faker? Show me your gem file. All right, did you do bundle?
Yes.
Okay.
History, Faker, bundle.
All right, you got bundle. Then you have Faker again. Go back to it. Let me see what Faker looks like.
Go back to the,
Yeah, go back to, yeah, there. No, go to the seed file. Do title, Faker, hipster, sentence 3, artist, name, Faker, artwork, images, and it's giving you that particular error. So I'm curious if it's, yeah, try just run bundle again. Run bundle one more time.
okay.
All right, now try doing DB seed. I want to see if that works.
It's pointing at this, right?
Yeah, the ones I moved you around and I lost.
Placeholder needs to be capitalized.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. That might be it. Try it again.
Sure, yeah.
Thanks, Chrissy. Like that, right?
No, it's good looking out. I'm going to read the message here. It says, syntax or unexpected T label, expecting comma. Unexpected T label. So I'm going to go in and just take a look at my seed file and just, compare the two.
Okay.
That's like, at this point in time, that would be the only thing I could do. So get rid of the comp. Oh, you don't have a trailing comma there, right? Song.create 10 times. All right. I don't see the error, but I'm going to do this.
Okay.
I'm going to slack out what I have.
All right. That'll be helpful.
Just replace what I have. And let's just see. I mean, I really want to see what's going on. All right. Copy and paste what I have. And let's just see. All right. Try it now. There you go. Now, what I would do is this. Something here was off, right? It did work, by the way.
Okay.
What I want you to do is go back into the seed file and undo what you did. Undo the paste. All right. Now, this is your original. Go back to your original. Is this your original?
Yes.
All right. Underneath your original, paste what I have. Compare the two. There's something in yours that is there that we do not see.
Okay.
So I see sentence 3, comma, artist name. What I would do at this time is I would start to copy and paste individual lines.
Got it.
To actually see, I would copy, obviously I would comment out line 16 to 22, but I would take the title and I would copy that from that and paste it onto line 10. Run it again. Did it work?
Okay.
No. You know what? That's because I can't see it.
Do you think it could just be this space after create?
Go to the create and get rid of that space right there. Let's try that. It'll just create another 10, right? That's all.
And the songs that come in is from Faker, right?
Yeah, they're all fake. It's all fake stuff. Yeah, that was it. Good looking out, Chris.
Thanks.
I think, Chrissy, you're gonna win the Eagle Eye Award.
Woo.
You.
That was a real thing.
Yeah, it's like boom. You see the thing. So the place hold it. Maybe that was it. If not, it was one space, and that's it. Because it is a method too. And methods, I don't think you can have the spaces. In the Ruby methods, you can like not have parens. and have one or two things after it, but we're going on separate lines. If this was all in one straight line, we might have been able to even remove the parens and just had them go one after the other on a single line, and it might have done it. Yeah.
All
But
right.
you're in.
Thanks, guys.
All right. All right. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.